We are picking winners. Run Pure Sports, Run Pure Bets, a collaboration here as we'll talk about 6 games from a DFS and a betting angle. Mangone has made it to Colorado. It's wonderful. He is not in horse country like I thought he was, out in the sticks and the boonies. There probably are more pickup trucks than he's used to, but hello, Mangone. How's Colorado treating you?
Good. I mean, just got here, but excited to pick winners, right? I was talking to AP on the course yesterday, and I said, I got to get out here because I got to come hang with the boys. I cannot not get there with Keg and talk some winners. Come over here with Holden. I don't know why I decided to go from living 40 minutes from Jay to living less than 40 minutes from Holden. I don't know why I made that life choice, but here we are.
22 minutes.
22. Okay. Oh, the exact location. That's not good there, Jay. He knows the exact number. This is a problem, Jay.
Mangone didn't want to give me his address, but I could post that at the end of the show. So that'll be, no, I won't do that to you, Mangone. Gay Kegger, what's up, buddy? How you feeling today? What's the word? You know, Kegger and I were doing his show. Was that Monday night? And all he said, get me those 6 games, bro. Give me the games. So we got the 6 games. We got Bucs, Rams, Chargers, Chiefs, Seahawks, Vikings, Packers, Niners, football team, Bills, and Falcons, Giants. We can't get into the games yet because I got to read marketing points. But how are you, my friend? Had week number 2 go for you? And what's up in week 3?
Week 2 went well for everybody. Marketing point, Run Pure Bets team is up 31 units in the month of September.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Joey's up 13, Tyler's up 9, I'm up 9. Everybody's just doing the damn thing. So week 2 NFL was really good, man. Looking forward to week 3.
All right, let's keep it going. Want to remind everybody, we've got core plays, we got playbooks, we've got the best in the industry, giving you 5 or 6 guys in every single lineup. It's amazing. Really, all you got to do is plug in the last 3 spots, sometimes 4 spots, but they're giving you their best lineup. That's the core plays. The playbook, we've got every single player that our guys are on, whether it be Mangone, whether it be JSU, BigT Hoop, all of them. We got the cash chart. It's going to help you. So I just want to say RPS Heater 25% off your first payment on the monthly subscriptions. And the other thing is you need to know that despite being up 31 units this month, Keg, members never win, of course. Members never win, just like in the NFL on Sunday. Maybe it was Monday. The Wog Show, one of our members, $12,000. Members never win. Jay Shannon, 11, $62,000 takedown. John Galt, $160,000 takedown. Tambo had a nice weekend. And Kay Fallick, who doesn't get paid by us, I mean, he just hangs out, won $115K. I mean, we got every sport covered. We got those core plays are amazing. The playbook is amazing. Everything is amazing. So let's get into this, Kegger and Mangone. Let's start with the Bucs and the Rams, obviously the premier game of the week. It does look like the running game for the Rams could be a little hindered. Darrell Henderson, rib issue. That means Sony Michel would step up. Jake Funk, the 7th rounder out of Maryland, would be in there too. Kegger, this line is kind of all over the place. Rams plus 1.5, Rams plus 2.5. That's interesting. The total too. I mean, we got to look at the total when we're talking about this game with high-powered offenses. 55.5. What's your take on the Bucs Rams this week?
Yeah, watching that Tampa game, the big problem for me through 2 weeks obviously is not the offense, right? They've continued to pick up where they left off last
Kegger's
year.
frozen.
Tom to 5 touchdowns a game. You know, he's been incredibly efficient. He's protected the football. And at the end of the day, the offense is averaging like 40 points a game through 2 weeks, but eventually they won't put up 1 million points in a game. And what happens then? The defense has looked, in my opinion, pretty pedestrian through the first 2 weeks. Now, everybody's going to watch that Falcons game and think the Tampa Bay defense was everywhere on Sunday. I think they had like a couple picks to the house, but to be fair, Atlanta had the ball down 3 with about 10 minutes left in that game before the game ends up flipping on a dime. So I know that the masses will be impressed with that defense last week, but I would argue that that's 2 weeks in a row where I wasn't really all that impressed with the Tampa Bay defense. And I think they need to be better if they want to be a viable or have a viable chance to repeat this year. The Rams, so here at Rumpure, we celebrate the wins and we're accountable for the losses, Holden Kushner. Okay.
It hurt.
I finished Sunday, Monday, like 9-3, but one game that the only game I lost money on this week, or at least didn't break even, the Rams. I said on this show, love the Rams last week. I end up getting hooked. I lost. But, you got to call a spade. And to be honest, the Rams should have lost that game outright. It should have been 17-7 Colts at the 9-minute mark of the second quarter in that game. But I would argue that's why Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz and the Colts are 0-2. But anyway, the Rams didn't play great, right? The offense looks solid. Matt Stafford fits perfectly into McVay's scheme. They're going to score a ton of points all year long, and that's going to include this game on Sunday. But the defense, while successfully stopping the run, and while they got the pressure on Wentz in the big moments that counted in the game, for the most part, Wentz had a lot of time to comfortably find receivers and get rid of the ball. And that's the issue when the next team that you're going to play is Brady with all these weapons. Now, after saying that, all this equals to two offenses that will probably go up and down the field all day on each other. Brady's going to find his receivers because there's too many weapons. The only way he doesn't is if the Rams front four plays out of their mind. On the flip side, if the two games are any indication, Matt Stafford's going to have himself a day. So I guess I'll lean with the home dog here, getting the points or it's like 1.5 too, because I think these are the two best teams in the NFC. I think either team can win this game. I guess I'll lean home team, and I'll lean the team taking the points. Now, nobody's running to bet an over 55.5 total, but this game has 35-31 written all over it to me. I think that they get up and over this total semi-easily, even though both teams came into the year with top 5 defenses. So I haven't made a bet in the game. I'll lean the home dog, and I'll lean the over.
All right, guys, the subscribe button's that little red one down in the right-hand corner. Do me a favor, hit that. Free show for you. Subscribe to the Run Pure Sports for YouTube channel, and then the like button would be nice for you to hit as well. All right, Mango, and here's what we got. Arians is going under the assumption that Antonio Brown isn't going to play. He says it's gravy if he comes back. He's on the COVID list, so he needs to pop negative 2 times. Let's assume AB is out in this game, okay? There's obviously tons of weapons for Tom Brady to throw to. What's your take on Brady? What's your take on Stafford? Cooper Kupp? Like, does this ever stop with Cooper Kupp? When can we feel comfortable playing Robert Woods? DFS breakdown, buddy, because there's a lot of goodness in this game.
Yeah. So first thing to mention, when you get talk about this game, I happened to open Twitter when Jay was talking, and he said, "Oh, these teams are going to move up and down." And do you know why these teams are going to move up and down? Well, Kevin Cole from PFF, he tweeted out the lowest pressure rates on the season. Who is that? Matthew Stafford, 20.3%, and Tom Brady, 21.1%. I know it's a small sample. I don't have the D-line data of who has been rushing them, but perfectly, the best way to say this is those offensive lines are incredible, right? I mean, those offensive lines are going to get the job done. The offenses are moving. I expect a lot of points to be scored. One reason why I do think the Rams are going to put up points, even though the Bucs are, known for having a good defense, is they are not going to run the ball a lot, I don't think, because one, Henderson is banged up. I don't see them, just loading up on Funk the whole time. What I do see them doing is passing a ton, because the Bucs are a pass funnel. So we should expect Cooper Kupp to have a pretty good game. I assume that they're going to scheme open Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. And they might even run with Robert Woods a little bit more than you might think because of how banged up their running game is. Like, you might see them do some motion plays where Robert Woods just kind of goes out and it's just like a pass that's technically a run. That would not shock me at all to see. So I do think that there is going to be scoring in this game. You did mention Antonio Brown and the COVID list. That is very important. The reason why is, who is Jalen Ramsey going to be covering? I assume it's Mike Evans. I don't know for sure. That's something, as the week goes on, we'll hopefully get the answer on. And if we do, I love Chris Godwin. I think his overs are good. I think, scoring a touchdown's a good one. Like all the overs on Chris Godwin, if that's the case. Obviously, if Chris Godwin is covered by Ramsey, then it might be Mike Evans. I know that there's a lot of options, though, there on the Bucs, right? They have Rob Gronkowski. They can hit in the red zone. They also have a lot of young receivers that they believe in. So it is a good opportunity to give those guys some run. Bruce Arians believes in those guys. So we'll have to see what happens here. I do think it's going to be a really, really fun game to watch. And I think it's going to be a good DFS game as well. The issue with the game is there's a lot of options and the ball can be spread out, but we're lucky enough to have Henderson, who's going to be out, and there's a pass funnel there with the Rams going up against the Bucs. And then we have the Bucs losing Antonio Brown possibly, and then that condenses some of the targets to a guy like a Chris Godwin.
So Godwin there, does Kupp keep this up? Does Gronk keep this up? I mean, Gronk scored 2 touchdowns in each of the first 2 games. Highly doubt that, but he's got 13 targets in these first 2 games. Can you trust Gronk? And what are we doing with Robert Woods this week? Just keep going back to the well?
Yeah, I think Robert Woods is fine. I think Cooper Kupp is the alpha. I think it was a plan for him to be that guy during the offseason. It seemed like Cooper Kupp would be the better option. I do think Gronk, this stuff is real with him, but obviously there's like variance and like there's going to be games where he doesn't get those touchdowns or fall in. I think he's fine and you can play him. I'm probably just not going to play Gronk all year and just be okay with it. Hopefully it's not like a historic season and they just absolutely pound him, but right now I don't see myself playing him. It always depends on the price and the situation and the slate. But I'm not going out of my way to roster Gronk, I don't think. Not that I don't like him, but he's just a very touchdown-dependent player. And on a site like FanDuel, touchdowns matter more, so that could make some sense. On a site like DraftKings, I just don't see myself doing it as much. It's early in the week, and I haven't looked at a ton of pricing, but I do think that I don't see myself playing Gronk right now this week.
Okay. Yeah, Gronk, obviously, let's see here. He's the 3rd highest priced tight end on DraftKings at 5.5K. So it's Kelsey at 8.2, Waller 7.4, and then Gronk and Hawkinson is at 5.2 right behind him.
Yeah, Higbee's another one we should talk about. We haven't even said his name. He's 4K, right? And he had a 1.8 fantasy points the last game. And well, Cooper Kupp had 40, right? So let's say Cooper Kupp had 25 and Higbee had 12 or 13, right? Some of that got distributed a little bit towards Higbee. His price would not be 4K, right? Higbee is clearly one of the better chalkier options. Just to put it in perspective again, Noah Fant and Higbee, it was basically a coin flip last week. And what's going to happen now is Fant is priced up because he got that touchdown. If Higbee got a touchdown and Fant didn't, you would have Noah Fant at the same price and Higbee would be 4.8. So I think you're still okay to buy on Higbee. I think he's one of the better tight ends on this slate.
All right, let's get into our second game here, guys. And this should be a good one too. We've got the Chargers and the Chiefs. Kegger, 6.5 plus 6.5 for the Chargers, minus 6.5 for the Chiefs at home. So Chargers flying halfway across the country. Earlier game there. This game opened at 7, now 6.5. The total has been bumped up from 52.5 to 55 or even 55.5. Kegger, that total, I know it could be hit pretty easily. I don't want to touch it right now. Maybe it's an in-game bet, but can you start with the side here? 6.5. Chiefs defense, if you just go by EPA, they are the worst in the National Football League. They have been absolutely awful through 2 games, Kegger.
Dreadful. Yeah, I'll start, I guess, with the Chargers. I ended up breaking even in that Dallas game, unfortunately, but the YouTube chat was all over me for being on the boys, and it ends up being the right side. I mean, Herbert put up the numbers last week like he will every week, right? He's a gifted quarterback, but drive after drive stalled out for the offensive side of the ball. Why? He threw a couple costly picks, and that offense that everybody thinks so highly of put up 17 at home against what everyone on the planet believes to be a bottom quarter defense in the league. They're averaging about 18.5 points a game through 2 weeks. That's not a really great look. Defensively, however, the Chargers have had back-to-back very solid performances, I thought. I was impressed in both weeks by the defense. And if they can maintain that level of play on the defensive side of the ball, I think the team's going to be really solid long term. Although through 2 weeks, the new coach, they don't have Lynn. Staley has looked solid, which puts them in a much better position than in years past. So all in all, offense hasn't looked great for the Chargers. Defenses look better than I thought. The Chiefs. Now, when you consider how that game started on Sunday night with a pick to the house in the opening seconds, right? The score was a bit misleading, even though, to be fair, Hilaire fumbled late. He gave the game away. I get it. But from the early moments of that game, the Chiefs were outplayed and lost that game by 8 points. JJ came on the show. He had a great angle in that game, taking both those teams to win by 1-10 at decent plus money. He had a great call there and ended up picking up a couple units there. Second week in a row, we were able to get the Lamar prop over, right? But personally, my read on the game, although I didn't bet it, I thought the right side was the Chiefs in that game. The number was 3.5 all week. The hook scared me off, so I stayed away. But, I thought the Chiefs would have pulled it out, especially when they started with a quick 7-point handicap. Now, this is very much a second verse, same as the first for the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, they can hang 35 every week, but they can also give up 35 every week. The defense continues to be the issue. Why, right? And the run defense is horrific. In week 1, every Browns runner averaged 5.5 yards a carry. In week 2, the Ravens ran for 250 plus yards. That's not a good look for this Kansas City team. And until they figure out how to stop the defensive woes on both sides of the ball, they're going to continue to win or lose games by small margins. It's the reason why this team goes 14-2 and never covers a football game ever. So coming off the loss, you almost want to lay the 6.5 here, right? Especially when the bigger problem on the Chiefs defense has been stopping the run. But, even though Baker had himself a day in week 1, the Chiefs are not going to see a ton of running from the Chargers. I don't think that's really not how that offense flows. But I think all you can do is lean taking the 6.5 with the Chargers, because Kansas City rarely puts teams away. They just don't cover games. And here's another total of around 56, right? And it's warranted here. In week 2, 8 games had more than 51 points in it. Of those 8 games, 4 of those games had more than 59 points, and 3 of them almost had either just less than 70 or more than 70. So these teams are scoring points in bunches, and the elite offenses are really scoring points in bunches. So give me the over here again, and I got to lean with the dog with the 6.5.
So here's my issues with the offense for the Chargers right now. And again, this will be a great matchup too. Herbert's only averaging 7.7 yards per completion. They are moving the ball up and down the field. They continue to stall out in the red zone, and 18.5 points through 2 games. It's not that great. The good news is that they did run for, I believe, 95 yards last week. So they can run if they need to. The question is, to me, is more on the Kansas City side. Are they going to continue to coast through these games just offensively? All right, we'll win in a shootout. And do the Chargers have enough firepower to keep up with them? And honestly, I think they do. They just need to finish off their drives, because Kegger, if they're settling for 3s this week, they are going to get blasted. You have to score touchdowns. You can't leave these 4 points on the table every drive.
Yeah, okay. I agree with that. I agree. But you know what? That Kansas City defense has looked so bad. Mm-hmm. You would think that they're going to finish off more than a few drives this week, don't you think?
All right, Mangone, welcome back to the conversation, my friend. Lot going on here in this game. First of all, how popular do you think this game is going to be? Before we get into anything, what's the ownership looking like? Think heavy on this game?
Well, so it's early in the week. Let me say that first.
Mhm.
Ownership typically gets dictated on price tag. Sometimes, like the Chiefs naturally are not as high owned as you would expect always because, well, Mahomes, what's his price, right? It's always really expensive, and at quarterback, the range of outcomes is not as wide typically, right? Like at receiver, you can have a guy go for 40 fantasy points and then like a receiver go for 0. I mean, like a really good receiver could easily just get shut down. And then you can have at quarterback, I mean, you don't have a guy typically get 0 and then like one get 40, right? It's typically like a range of like between like 15 and 30. You obviously get the 35, but you get what I'm saying. So that's why people don't typically pay for a guy like Pat Mahomes. We know what his ceiling can be, especially in these kind of games. Tyreek Hill, really expensive. Good option. Travis Kelce, another one. Really expensive and good option. If Travis Kelce has a big game, you just need to make sure your value plays get there. I mean, he can separate the gap at tight end really from a large margin where people can't catch up, right? If Travis Kelce goes for 30 fantasy points and the next highest scoring tight end is 15, well, people have to make up 15 fantasy points in another spot. So paying for him could be valuable. It just depends on your roster construction and what you're going for. I think when you do play Travis Kelce at tight end, you got to make sure that your value plays can get you there for sure. You can't be taking these like dusty guys at 3K that get you 0, obviously. So I think that the Kansas City stack is always in play. Not going to say it's a bad idea. In cash games, it's just not something to prioritize because it can hinder your entire roster construction. Going over to the Chargers side, man, they move the ball a ton on the Cowboys. I expect them to move the ball on the Chiefs. They just have to finish. And my question is, I've heard this Chargers team is different. This was all Anthony Lynn's fault. They could never finish. I'm not being the guy here saying Anthony Lynn wasn't the problem, but I am saying if we get to week 10 and the Chargers still can't finish, I mean, who are we blaming now? I mean, come on. Like I'm still buying in on this Chargers offense. I think they can move the ball. I do think they can finish, but it is a question I'm asking myself. What is going on here with guys like Herbert Eckler, Keenan Allen? Mike Williams is a guy that they're using a lot differently, and they're using him a lot more often, right? They're not just using him as this deep guy to just chuck the ball to. They're actually giving him legit routes. I think Mike Evans is here to stay. I think he's here to be a great option. And
Mike Williams, right?
Yeah, Mike Williams. I honestly think some of his props, like I haven't looked at them, but props don't adjust sometimes to the new situations. And this is one where Mike Williams overs could be really interesting in a spot where they're going to have a really good game script. I do think he's here to stay, though. Jared Cook, Darnold Parham, they are going to be the guys that steal a lot of touchdowns at times. We even saw it with Darnold Parham, getting all those looks on Sunday. Again, the Chargers move the ball. They were not like just getting stopped and then punting. I do expect them to put up some points. I expect them to be an interesting fantasy option. It just really depends on the price and where you land. Last week, the Cowboys and Chargers game was clearly underpriced, and it depends on the situations, right? If we go and talk about the Bucs game again real quick, would you rather play Chris Godwin at 6.1K, or would you rather play Keenan Allen at 6.6? If there's no Antonio Brown, it seems like it's easy to go over to him. Cooper Kupp with the market share he's getting. Would you rather play Keenan Allen or Cooper Kupp? Nothing against Keenan Allen, but he's a great player, but he has like failed in spots where you just kind of scratch your head, even like last week. So I do think that this is a game to get exposure to, but it's not like the game of the week and just slam all these guys in because of some of the price tags relative to some other players, which again, that's good for tournaments. If you stack this game up, maybe you'll get it lower owned than some of these other games on this slate.
Yeah, every single week I do a Mahomes Hill Kelce stack when they're on the main slate. And I do it on FanDuel just because it's an easier build. I think it's just the blow up possibility was at week 1. I don't know, maybe week 2, they just went off. One of these last 2 weeks, they went off, and it helps, but that puts a lot of pressure on you to hit your value plays. DraftKings, it's very difficult. FanDuel, not as difficult. I do have a question. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, hold on. One thing I wanted to suggest here too with you doing that is I think it's a smart idea to do, especially in like smaller field tournaments rather than like the giant big field ones. And because in some of the smaller single entry stuff, a lot of people are going to gravitate towards similar builds. And what's going to happen is when you get the condensed share of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, if it's like a 200-man field type tournament, Holden, you're going to be like on an island with those guys together. And what's going to happen is that way you don't even have to play the guessing game. And if one of them goes off for like that big 40-point game, you still might be able to recover even with the other one getting you like only 8 fantasy points. So I think that's a really sharp call to be playing that every week. I mean, GC always says it like always Mahomes, but I think in some of those smaller field tournaments, I think it's a really good idea, especially when you get it really low on.
And that's what I do. I mean, I play mostly single to 3-entry tournaments, smaller fields. So yeah. Last thing, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, both of you, I want your thoughts. Can you trust him this week? What is he, 4.8 on draft? He's a joke.
It's definitely worth talking about because the price tag is too cheap. And of course, if he's going to get it at the goal line, but the one worry is he's not like your typical goal line back. And also Darrell Williams stole, a touchdown last week. And I wouldn't be shocked if Andy Reid used him more at the goal line just because he's scared of like the fumble, right? Or my issue with Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now is I think if the price tags around the industry were very tight, he would be more interesting. I think you're still going to be able to build a good lineup without him. I have not built a ton of lineups. He's going to be in the cash chart player pool. I haven't gotten that up yet. I'll probably get it up today. I'll put him in the pool. I don't think he's going to be a priority or anything, but 4.8K does feel really cheap, Holden. I mean, it's definitely intriguing and something I'm going to be considering because the touchdown equity is large, right? 31 total.
Yeah, 4.8 on what is that? DraftKings and 6.5 on FanDuel. Not as egregious a price.
Yeah, way better on DK for sure.
Yeah. Hey, Kegger, just from a football standpoint, like is Clyde Edwards-Helaire ever going to break open? He's had a couple of tough matchups here, but you buying into this kid still, or you Dunsky?
I think it's still a bit of an open-ended question. I think we got to give him a little more time until we really know. I don't really see any props for him right now. I have a question. Chargers team totals 23.5. What do you guys think about that?
Over.
What do you think?
What is it again? 23.5?
Yeah.
It seems pretty solid. The one worry I have is I think this Chargers team, when games are close, they like to play a little slow. And that is one of my fears with this team. If they can get up, right, are they going to just try and play some keep away with Mahomes? That wouldn't shock me. If obviously the Chiefs get out in front early, then yeah, I think slamming that total makes some sense. I even think it might make sense to wait to bet that and live bet it, because if you get lucky enough that the Chiefs can get out in front early, then you're going to get them passing, then I think they can get there better. I don't know if that makes sense, Keg, but I just worry, and that was my worry last week with this Cowboys game, is I thought it was a great game to play, but I did worry a ton about the Chargers trying to play a little bit of ball control and just holding on to it.
Yep, I get it.
Yeah, these two teams played a couple times because they are division rivals. And in that game, week 2 last year, Mahomes went for 302 and 2 touchdowns. Now, it was only a 23-20 game, and they won that game in overtime. That's pretty interesting. And he didn't bother playing in the last game, and that was against the Chargers. But, I wouldn't call it pedestrian. It wasn't great, and I don't know how much you even want to look back and make an assumption on that. But I think it's just more information. You could throw it out there. Okay.
Yeah, one last thing to talk about this game, Holden, real quick, DFS-wise. Chiefs game is, it's obviously in Arrowhead, so it's not as much of a friendly environment. That Rams game, it's in LA, right? And that's a dome, correct? I believe that is a dome.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And again, dome games are really friendly for DFS. So I lean that Bucs and Rams game more. And also, we talked about before, the offensive lines, right? And how impressive they've been. No one talks about offensive line play enough when it comes to DFS. And well, if the offensive line is keeping the pocket clean, that allows you to get opportunities. Nothing is worse than your quarterback just getting absolutely thrown to the ground or a play just getting broken up because the offensive line can't protect or a running back can't. So that's worth mentioning as well. I think it's another lean to liking that game over the one that we just talked about.
All right. Couple things. Subscribe button. It's that little red button on the video. Love for you to hit it and subscribe to our channel. Like button's nice too. And then last night, it was the Uncle T edition of the Wishbone Pod because it's his birthday, and he turned 61 last night. We celebrated his birthday by saying horrible things to him. It's here on YouTube. It's your favorite podcast provider too. Run Pure Sports, the Wishbone Pod, me, Uncle T, G Risen, and JT Hayes. JT Hayes is on the show as well. All right, let's get to this next one. Kegger, Seahawks, Vikings. Now, Dalvin Cook is beaten up, but he is expected to play this week. The Vikings have their backs against the wall. You go 0-2, there's 90% chance you're not making the playoffs. These are statistics. So Seahawks on the road are favored, -1.5, -2. Total here is 55. Do the Vikings have any fight left in them after the heartbreaker last week?
Oh man. So I didn't have a chance to watch that Hawks game intently because I had money on other games. But what I will say is we did talk about last week, and I think all of us kind of agreed that in that game, the biggest overreaction spread-wise of the week were the Titans, right? So, Titans did their thing. I know the game went to overtime. I know Seattle was comfortably in front. The defense got tired. Derrick Henry finally started taking over late. But, I mean, Russ cooked. I saw he had something like 340 yards, 2 TDs, no picks. But the Hawks running game did pretty much absolutely nothing. It was nothing to talk about. The offense for Seattle is always going to be okay, and they're always going to score enough points to win a football game until Russell Wilson isn't there, right? The problem for the team is this Jekyll and Hyde nature that the Seattle defense has since the Legion of Boom was disbanded, really. That's the issue always. The first half of the year last year, the defense was terrible. Second half year, really good. And that switch even flips in the middle of games for this defense. So until they figure that out, I think they're always going to be live to lose any game they're in, no matter how many points they're up, no matter how safe the win looks like, because the issues that they have on defense. Now, the offense is the offense. The Vikings, we talked about, second squares play last week was probably Arizona minus the 4. Now, the Vikings didn't play. I didn't think that the Vikings played anywhere near as bad in that overtime loss to Cincinnati as people thought, right? So, I thought that they were going to give the Cards everything that they can handle, and they did. Now, they had no business losing that game because the second best kicker in football missed a gimme field goal to win that game. But here they sit 0-2. And you can argue that they've played well enough to be 2-0. I think.
Oh, not against the Bengals.
What do you?
Come on, man.
I think you're wrong there, Kush, because I think that the 13 penalties in the first half of that game put them in such a hole that I think they severely outplayed them in the second half, got the game into overtime, and just didn't get it done in overtime. But I think that the numbers, the data in that game says that they outplayed the Bengals. So you can make an argument that they should be 2-0. Okay. And here they sit 0-2, right? Now, that being said, they host a tough team this week. I expect 1 million points in this game. The Dalvin Cook thing is a concern, but JJ was talking about this. Is there any other player in football besides Dalvin Cook that looks like they get hurt 30 times a game? They come out for 4 or 5 plays. You think something's wrong. Then he limps back in every time and has himself a day. I think if he's going to play, Cook is going to be okay. So I think it's another 33-30 game. I think it goes over this ridiculous 55.5 total. So I'll lean over. But in terms of the side, I'm going to lean with what I believe is to be the better football team, even though they're on the road. So I'll say Seattle. I'll lean Seattle, lean over.
Show me that shirt real quick. What do you got on? Is that a KC shirt or is that something else you're wearing?
KC.
Woo, that's sexy. Have you ever been there?
I haven't. No.
Best barbecue in the nation. All right, Mangone, let's talk about this from a DFS side. And Keg and I are going to disagree on the Vikings. I thought the first half, they looked like such shit against the Bengals. But you're right. Maybe the last 6 quarters plus the overtime, it's been a little bit better. Mangone, my question to start from the Seahawks side. We got Tyler Lockett with 139 air yards. He's 4th in the league. DK Metcalf, 57th. Really nowhere to be found. What are we doing with DK and Lockett? Do we play one of them, both of them, neither of them? Tell me.
Well, aren't the targets are similar though, right? I think they have the same amount of targets. 11 targets against the Titans, 5 the week before I'm seeing on DK, and then Tyler Lockett, he had 11-5. Unless I clicked the raw, and maybe I clicked the raw. Let me just check one more time. Yeah, exact same distribution.
I know.
So, listen, I'm going team DK Metcalf. I think Tyler Lockett is a guy that he kind of gets injured throughout the year, right? So like there's going to be a game where like he probably duds in that department. If you've been on Lockett, I think it's a good time to zigzag over to DK Metcalf. I mean, I think it's not the most predictable thing. I also, in tournaments, I think it's good to just only to separate these two guys from each other. I wouldn't play Russell Wilson with Lockett and Metcalf together. I think the only time I would do it is in like a small field tournament. Again, kind of like what I said with the Kansas City thing. If you don't think they're getting ownership and you don't want to try and play the guessing game of which one it is, I think you can get away with it a little bit by doing that. But I'm going to lean DK Metcalf here in this spot. Holden, you should pat yourself on the back a little bit. We don't do this often enough, so KJ Osborne, right? Didn't you call it over Cedric Wilson and then he caught that bomb? Isn't that correct, Holden?
I said, do not play Cedric Wilson. Play KJ Osborne because KJ Osborne has he's got some talent and Kirk Cousins loves him.
Yep, and he said that at the Run Pure Sports YouTube, not YouTube, the premium show, right? Yeah, check that out. Awesome. That's Up to Lock the show. Up to Lock show.
I like him again.
What?
I like him again. He'll just be more owned.
Yeah, he might not a lot though, right? I mean, he won't have that much more, so you're fine. He'll definitely still be in play. The JJ stuff about Dalvin was funny. Me and Big T were basically just every time he went down saying, "Oh, Dalvin Cook's hurt again." I mean, this is just every single week he goes down and he gets back in. He's obviously a good play. If you're going to get him at low ownership, that's when he's an even better play. So depends how the ownership shakes out. One thing I do like about the Vikings is if this stack does go off, we know where it's going. It's going to Jefferson or Thielen if it's a passing touchdown, right? I mean, the targets are so condensed towards those guys. They're just really good tournament stacks. And that's the thing I like. I love playing tournament stacks where it's not as predictable. If the quarterback throws touchdowns, then this is going to happen. For instance, if Tom Brady, has a big game, who's going to score the touchdowns? I mean, just roll the roulette wheel. It's very difficult to figure out. I do think, though, Vikings-wise, I like that side. Seattle side, it's easier to understand where the ball's going to. I think this is a great late game stack. And also, the thing I like about it is I don't know which side's going to get more ownership, that Bucs or Rams game. But the thing I like in tournaments is you can pivot to one or the other if you leave the appropriate salary when you build out your lineups. And you can see what happens in the early games, figure out what your team looks like, and then go either to the higher owned chalk, which is better, or the lower owned one, and go from there. Holden, I think this game is amazing, and I'd rather backload my lineups this week, so I have the opportunity to look at those two games and get more data and figure out what's going on in the 1:00 games.
So did you play KJ Osborne? Did you go, oh, here's another Holden stinker? That's the question.
I did not play KJ Osborne, Holden, which is unfortunate, but it was a great call by you. I didn't even play too much Cedric Wilson. I played a little bit. I considered making some pivots to him in cash at the end, but listen, you called that one. I think you called another one the week before Big T was telling me. So you've been on fire with those calls. And Big T even said, I'm going to start listening to the Holden. Whenever I hear it, I'm just going to do it. The pressure's on.
No. It's over. It's over. Now you put the pressure on me. I don't even want that type. Don't tell me. I'll give you winners, but don't tell me. Next game's Packers 49ers, but Keg first. Give your bet side a little bit of love. I love the bet side. I hang out with you all the time for free. Go on your live show because all you do is win. Come on, give yourself a plug here, pal.
Bet side's doing well. The team's up 31 units in September. They're killing the game. Use promo code BETS25 off to get 25% off the first week or month. $60 a month is really cheap when you consider all the sports we cover, the quality cappers that we have there, the amount of units that we win, the amount of hours that I log on that live show, 30 plus hours a week, is worth the $60 subscription alone. And then on top of that, you get all the pregame exclusive content that we do for subs only. And then, a ton of winners. Winners win. If you have the DFS side and you want to add the bet side, I think I heard there's a code like Get Bets, and you'll get the first month on the bet side for free. So
just get it. Seriously.
We got a NASCAR playoff race this weekend. We got UFC 266. We got Joey steamrolling baseball heading into October. We got Tyler and JJ doing their thing in college football and the NFL. Me on the live show 30 hours a week. I mean, it's a win.
Yeah. I'll just tell you this right now. Like, NFL is my best sport in DFS. I'm learning NBA. I was very successful because of the guys on the NBA side this year. Baseball, I've had a rough season in DFS. Got to be honest with you guys. Guess what? I'm still up money because I tailed Joey Work, who is just, again, I don't blind tail people, but this guy is on such a roll right now. That's it. I just throw a unit in. I don't care. I'll stay up till he posts his plays, and then I do it, and it's very, 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 very profitable. So, again, get on the bet side. But I do want to switch things up, maybe go to Mangone for this game here with the Packers and the Niners, okay? Packers, Niners from a DFS side, and then we'll get into lines and everything on the other one. But what are we taking away from the Packers win the other night, Mangone? That would be the first thing. The second thing is just very disappointed in what we're seeing from Brandon Ayuk, not really out there. Is this game even on the main slate? No, right?
No, not a main slate, but he's on those 2-game slates. If you want to fire on the Sunday to Monday, he's going to be on the Showdown. He's on if you play Thursday through Monday or any of those slates.
Well, here, listen, timeout. Here's what happens when Mangone is traveling. We come up with games that aren't on the main slate. It's me and Keg. Keg's just like, you do it. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I want to talk about this game anyways, real quick from the DFS side.
Yeah, it's there's good things to talk about with this game. And I think the thing to mention with the Packers, we saw the Aaron Jones thing the other night, and everyone was tilting, oh, Aaron Jones going off, getting passing touchdowns. What's going on here? Well, Aaron Rodgers he's going to do what the defense gives him, right? If the defense says I'm taking away Devontae Adams, well, listen, he'll force feed him in certain spots, but it depends what the defense is going to do. And the defense gave him free Aaron Jones touchdowns and like just yards. So why not take that? I mean, it was just so simple to do. So that's something that, put in your brain. If you know what the defense is going to kind of give, target towards that. The Niners, I really like Kittle in this spot because I like playing George Kittle against teams that I think the offense can put the pressure on and force the scoring, right? I don't like when the Niners get up and they just pound the rock and George Kittle's blocking. One fear is the Packers are not the best run defense. They have not been the best run defense since, I think since I've been born. I mean, it's been forever. So you could see a lot of the run game, but that run game is again, it's Mitchell, it's Sermon. There are some question marks with it. I do think you're going to see a really good game from someone like George Kittle. I think this is a perfect spot for him because, again, the pressure is going to be on. I thought last week the Eagles could put enough pressure to actually put up some points and Kittle to get involved. The problem was that did not happen. That was a huge issue. But I do like the spot for Kittle. On the opposite side, of course, you always have to love a Devontae Adams. There's a lot of different weapons here. Obviously, adding Randall Cobb, Aaron Jones. One thing to mention with Aaron Jones, too, especially maybe his receptions prop or the receiving yards prop, it might be inflated just because we had a Monday Night Football game, but A.J. Dillon isn't that guy, right? Jamal Williams is not going to steal that work anymore, so that could obviously be an interesting angle to take. Again, every line matters, right? Everyone has a price. If I told you the rushing prop on, Jimmy Garoppolo was 0.5 or even, 0.5, you'd maybe bet it, right? Not saying Jimmy Garoppolo's a runner, but you'd probably bet it. We need to know what Aaron Jones prop is, but I think that's something worth looking at because sometimes the systems don't catch up to what's going on, and we might be able to get ahead of the game on that. So that's some takeaways from this game. Of course, Showdown, we'll have all the content you need over at Run Pure Sports, and be sure to check that out. And check out Big T's player pool, the core plays, the playbook, everything.
Okay, good. Let's get to this from the betting side then, Kegger. It's a game we wanted to discuss because I think it's a couple of contenders. And Jimmy G has been playing his ass off, to be perfectly honest with you. It looks like you and I were doing the show on Monday. The Packers are playing, and Aaron Rodgers looked like doo-doo for the first half. 6 straight quarters where he looked horrible. Well, you turned it around. You buying into the Packers offense now, plus 3.5 on the road. We're getting that hook on the road. Total here is 49.5 for 50.
Totally agree with you. Packers didn't look good early in that game on Monday night at all. And it feels like, is this the Packers now? And then, like you said, second half, they at least start looking like the team they were kind of on offense the last couple of years. But they were playing the Detroit Lions, who are one of the 4 worst teams in football, in my opinion. So I think the verdict is still out on Green Bay this year. And this week should go a long way to finding out where Green Bay really is in the first month of the year, because the 49ers will be their most legitimate test thus far. So the Niners, I think the start they've had is the start we've expected them to have results-wise. But how they got there thus far has been below expectations, I think, slightly. They struggled defensively in week 1 with the Lions. They let them hang close to 35 points. It was a 1-possession game. I think they won by 8. And then last week, let's be honest, they should have been trailing in that Eagles game 17-7 at the break, if not for the Eagles constantly shooting themselves in the foot. So the scoreboard said that the defense had a great day for Fran, right? But in reality, the Eagles averaged over 6 yards per play on offense with a young quarterback who's still trying to find consistency in the red zone offense, which he hasn't been able to do yet. Aaron Rodgers probably will not have that problem in the red zone on Sunday. So while the Niners are 2-0, right now they're a proceed with caution type team to me as well. I think the play here is the over.
Ooh.
I think that total's just way too low. 49 with Rodgers, and I think the 49ers offense, based on what we saw the Saints and Detroit do against Green Bay, I think the 49ers are going to find success. And I think that Rodgers is going to find success. So I think that this is probably the one total this week that should be closer to 53, but's really at 49, in my opinion. I mean, as far as the side, I guess give me the points at plus 3.5, because I think these teams are probably relatively close. But forget the side. I'm not betting the side. I'm gonna bet the over in this game.
So this is a show play, because I'm gonna go put a unit on it right now. The show play is over 49.5 at PointsBet.
Is that the best number that we can get?
That's the best number I got right now, 49.5.
Well, are you looking at one sports book?
No, I got 50 everywhere else. I got FanDuel and PointsBet 49.5. Everywhere else is 50.
Well, all right. I'm not against it, but let's discuss it as a group. This is our show play. What do you guys think?
Mango, why don't you go first? I got some thoughts on this game. Why don't you go first here?
Yeah, I will say last week, just to be like you said before, the Rams didn't go well. My Eckler one didn't go well, but we crushed the first week, so that's okay. We're still up units on our plays on the show, so that's good to hear. The 50 total. So 50 is what I see. You can get 49.5 in some spots. Maybe you can shop for the 49. I don't know if you'll be able to, though. I assume because it's a Sunday Night Island game, this number only goes up. I kind of want to get on it earlier rather than later, I would assume. I mean, I'm okay with it because I think both teams, can put up points. I'm not scared of the Niners defense. I'm definitely not scared of the Packers defense. I think it's a perfectly fine way to go if you guys want. I'll admit it's early in this season, and my one fear is Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Like betting Jimmy Garoppolo, to hit overs is a little scary. That's the only concern that I have because Jimmy G, he needs to lose that job. I'm hoping the Packers win, not just because I'm a Packers fan, but I want Trey Lance in there. I want the Niners to start losing some games, so there's a little bit of pressure to get Jimmy G out of there. That is my only concern, Keg. What is your counter to that?
Yeah, and Keg, well, he wants a counter, so give him the counter. I'll give you my big worry about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree when you're counting on Jimmy G to score enough points to get you over. I just think that the Packers defense has looked really bad, much worse than last year in these first couple weeks of the year, in my opinion. So I think that I also think based on what we saw on Monday, San Fran's going to have success running the football on this 49ers team, which should take some of the pressure off of Jimmy G. So I don't know. I just think the way that this year is going, I think they're going to find a way to get over 49.5.
All right, that's my issue, buddy. The running game. And maybe that forces Jimmy G to throw a little bit more, but listen, I don't know if you believe in Elijah Mitchell, but he's questionable this week. Hasty is out. The rookie Trey Sermon, they don't feel comfortable. He's questionable. I mean, we might have Jacques Patrick rushing yards here for San Francisco. So if it's more one-dimensional, do you still feel good about the Niners? And then the other side, let's not forget that they ran the ball. The Packers ran the ball a ton in that game, right?
A ton.
So what if that happens?
Yeah, I mean, those are valid points. I'm concerned with the fact that they might start a third string running back for San Fran. But
So is this a hold now, or you still want to hit it? I'm fine either way. I'll tell you if you're hitting it. That's how much I respect you.
I worry about the Packers because doesn't Kyle Shanahan have Matt LaFleur's number? Like he has like absolutely crushed him, I think. So that's something that's like in the back of my mind. I remember from some of the games, and like I forget what Kyle Shanahan's record is against, but I feel like he's absolutely crushed him. Still again, trying to like think through the game and the process on it, but obviously, if the Niners get up and he does crush him and he has his number, you're going to get Rodgers to be able to just like throw a ton. And obviously, Rodgers throwing a ton can equal to, points being scored.
How about, hey, Keg, how about we bet this and then wait for the total to get up to 52.5 and cash out? How horrible is that?
I mean, that might, if you put enough money down on it, holding that might buy you lunch. So that's not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I might put 1,000 down. I'll get like $45 back. It'll be amazing. Okay.
I just want to see what the team totals are.
All right. Go look at the team totals. While you're doing that, Simon has made a great point. He's like, Holden, why don't you guys touch on the Thursday night game just a little bit? We'll do that real quick at the end of the show.
I'll give out the play. I have a play on the spreadsheet. I'll give it out. What?
You got a play on the spreadsheet already?
We have 3 or 4 plays on the spreadsheet.
Okay.
I have one of them, and I'll give it out.
Ooh, let's see it. Is it a team total?
It's actually one of the only teasable sides that you can tease this week is the Panthers down to 1.5 and the Cardinals down to 1.5.
Yeah, I hit that. Yeah.
That's the 6-point teaser. So that's what we went with.
I'm feeling like we're not on a consensus on the show bet with the Niners and
all right.
So I will check if you're a member on the bet side, make sure you check the sheet because he might throw that up there. But I don't mind it. Hey, also, do you remember the guy that had the 14 team parlay?
Yeah, did he hedge?
He wasn't allowed to because it was a free bet. He had $726,000 if the Lions. He went 13-0. Then he had the 14th game if the Lions beat the Packers. So then BetMGM just gave him $133K for the buyout option. So that was nice of them.
Oh, so he bought out. Why wasn't he able to hedge? You can just
free bet. You can
go to a different
hold
book.
on. How do you hedge on 722,000? Do you just go into your account and pull out 200K?
No, yeah. I mean, what you do.
How do you hedge that, Mangone? The guy's using a $25 free bet. It's not like
there's a lot of ways to do it.
You got to put 350K on in that game. This is what I would have done.
Also, you have to have 350K to do that. I don't know if that guy did.
That's what I'm saying.
That's another thing worth mentioning.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's a good point. But what you would have done if you had the money is when the Lions go up 7-0 in that game and the Green Bay money line is as low as it was going to be in that game, you probably bet a few $100,000 on
but Keg, you can't do that or say that because you don't know that's going to happen, right? Before the game,
there's really, I don't know how you would hedge pre-flop.
You can't.
Yeah,
you can't.
There's ways to it. Obviously, if you have 350K, but what you want to do is you want to be watching live and decide, like kind of what you said. You might not get the number that you want, but you would do that, or you can obviously do the cash out as well. It depends on who you are, what your situation is, what your risk tolerance is.
Aren't you shocked that they offered a cash out option on a free bet?
No, they didn't.
Oh, they gave it to him
They gave it to him afterwards, so it looked like it was a nice gesture.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we were talking about hedging it.
Hold on. So I can't get a dime down of my own money on a player prop, but there's books out there that even if you drop it, they hand you 135K.
Correct.
Keg, it's very simple. Do you know why they did this, correct?
No.
I do.
It's marketing. We're talking about it, Keg. It's marketing. They want us to talk about it. It's there. Okay,
what sports book was this?
BetMGM. I love BetMGM. And here's the other thing, Kevin.
Yeah, see, look, Colden's on here going, I love BetMGM. Go there now. Well, this is exactly why, Keg.
I feel differently about BetMGM than I do FanDuel. I'll tell you that much.
I guess the marketing worked then.
Well, yes, this is exactly why they do it. They calculate how much money they're willing to give up for their marketing budget. It's really simple. It's exactly what they're doing. And listen, BetMGM, Holden is right. They have really good lines and bets and stuff like that. And there you go. Now that's the free BetMGM.
Well, let me also say this, that you see how all these sports books are like, oh, this guy hit a 10-team parlay. This guy had $726,000. Yeah, he didn't get it, but he got 13, so we gave him the money. It's like, people look at this and go, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, 99.9% of these bets lose. Probably more than that.
Point taken.
Okay. We're done with that.
Look at that in the chat. Ryan Turner. I'm off to BetMGM. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell them I sent you. And but no, it is brilliant marketing. There's no doubt about it. All right, guys, let's pick up the pace here. We got the football team visiting the Bills. Josh Allen saying, listen, I have not been good. And if you look at him in intermediate throws, not only been not good, he has been putrid to start the season, guys. So through 2 games, there has definitely been a pullback on Josh Allen. So the question we have to ask ourselves, do we believe in this, or is Josh Allen about to explode? Football team plus 8.5, Bills minus 8.5, 44.5, and 45.5 the total here, Kegger. To me, if you're betting this game and you're backing the Bills, you're thinking that Josh Allen gets back to his play from last year. And I'm telling you right now, 10 to 25 yards, this guy has been just about as inaccurate as it gets so far.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I actually wrote a note that said, tell Mangone he was right about Washington. Now, the thing about the Washington defense,
what was I right about, Keg? I mean, last week was barely a blur. I've been moving so much around. What was I right on?
You were like, I would rather have Fitz, but the drop-off is not that severe to Heineke. And at least last week against the Giants, I think you're kind of right. I think that the game would have went really similar probably had Fitz.
Well, the thing with Heineke is he is a very high floor quarterback, right? With like a Tyrod Taylor is a very high floor quarterback, where Zach Wilson is a rookie. I mean, as a Jeff fan, I mean, I feel for you. It's high. It's probably the best way to draft, but like it's low floor, high ceiling, right? But if you're looking to bet on like for instance, I hated in week 1. I got some survivors that I'm doing, and I was talking to some people, and they were like, yeah, like they like the Jaguars. I was like, I don't like the Jaguars because I think Tyrod Taylor is like a high floor quarterback where kind of a rusher. Pepper's like someone like the check down stuff where that can end up like winning games. And you have like a good defense and just like, sure, Heineke can make mistakes at times, but I do think he's just a high floor quarterback, right? And that's one of the things with Washington where Heineke's a great backup to have. I mean, he's also used his legs too. Quarterbacks that use their legs, they help increase the floor of the team. And I think that helped out a little bit with Washington, but Daniel Jones did look great last week. I don't want to, bring this into a breakdown of that game, but I think that was kind of my reasoning behind it.
I think the biggest problem is this what might have been supposed to be the best defense in football this year has looked absolutely mediocre through 2 weeks in Washington. And that's concerning when you have to go and play the Bills in Buffalo. So, I think Kushner brings up a good point. I do think that you had to expect some type of regression on that ridiculous season that Josh Allen had last year. But I do think that his level of skill and talent is much closer to what we saw last year than what we've seen the first 2 weeks of the season this year. So, the one thing you do have to say is the defense that we thought would needed a lot of work is Football Outsiders, I think, has it the second best defense in football right now, right? So, but the problem is they played a Pittsburgh team that was awful offensively and pathetic in week 1. And then Tua goes out in week 2 and they egg Jacoby Brissett. So I think there's a ton of question marks about this defense because they haven't played a real offense yet. And they're probably not going to play a real offense this week either. So a 9-point spread, I would say find an 8.5 point spread in this game because there are 8.5s are out there, and tease the Bills down to 2.5 if you want to bet the side in this game, because I'm not comfortable laying the 9 and I'm not comfortable taking the 9 either in this game. But I don't mind laying less than a field goal in a teaser with a team like you could do it with Carolina this week. You could do it with the Cardinals this week. So that would be my route. I would stay away from laying the 9 or the +9. What's the total?
The total on the game, what was it? 44.5, 45.5.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm going to lean over. I guess I'll lean over there. I think that both offenses are capable. You don't have to do much to get over a 45 total. So I think Heineke's probably capable. And I think Allen is going to get rolling at some point, and it could very well be at home against this defense that's looked mediocre through 2 weeks. So
is that a lean or a play? Lean.
Yeah, I'll lean over. Yeah.
Okay.
Lean.
Yeah. Mangone. Josh Allen, Taylor Heineke. Heineke's 5.6, Allen 7K. These are DraftKings prices. I don't know if you want to mess with the running backs in this game. Maybe you want to go Gibson if you wanted to. Singletary had a big run. And then there's McLaurin, who's getting targeted more than anybody. Still waiting on the Stephon Diggs breakout game. Emmanuel Sanders is getting air yards. Logan Thomas off to a pedestrian start. There's a lot of guys that I like here, but the question is, do you like them in this matchup?
I don't love this game. And the reason why is, what is Josh Allen good at? Well, he's good at obviously throwing the football, right? Scrambling, getting things done. But I worry about this pass rush he's going to have to deal with. I mean, the pass rush has been pretty solid. The defense could be better, but I just don't know if this is a spot that I want to go to the Bills offense. I think at times they're going to, you're going to see them running and trying to kill the clock a bit and play a little bit of control. Also, this Bills defense is probably a really good play because talk about Heineke, how he does raise the floor, but he can make some boneheaded decisions at times, and this Bills defense can get after it. We saw them against the backup last week in Brissett, so I wouldn't be surprised they had another big game. I just don't think this is a great DFS game for me. I like the Bills in games that are going to interact, because when they interact and go back and forth, if they can be up while it's interacting, they pass a ton and the clock stops. And then if you get the other team passing a lot and then the clock stops, that's really huge. My problem is the clock might not stop as much with the guy like Heineke, who's Mr. Checkdown at times. So that's my fear. I don't think this is an amazing DFS game. I think, would I be shocked if Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs was, in a winning tournament lineup? No, I wouldn't be shocked, but this is not a game I'm firing on or loading up on DFS wise.
I'm not a huge fan of this game from a betting perspective either.
I think Diggs is a one-off. If he's really low owned, could be a really good play. But again, I'm kind of with Jay. I don't love this game, and I don't think it's one that you're going to need to just load up on. I think you can pick your spots here and there, but again, you can't play every spot on every slate. You just can't be like, oh, I got this receiver, this one. So it might be a spot where I end up fading. And again, it's a low total, right? 45.5. We don't talk about it enough, but in NFL, these totals do matter, and you want to try and find the better totals, and 45.5 is a bit rough.
Yeah. And all my guys back in DC that cover the team, they're like, the defense is playing poorly right now. Personally, I mean, I'd take a shot on a slight regression from Josh Allen and that team total as opposed to the full game team total or the full game total, Keg. That's just where I would go, though.
Say that one more time.
I think that the Washington defense has regressed enough. I think the Washington defense has disappointed every bit as much as Josh Allen has. And I think that in this matchup, Josh Allen and these weapons can take advantage of that secondary. And I would prefer the Bills team total over the game total.
I'll tell you, man, I don't disagree with that based on how, I mean, that Giants offense was moving the ball consistently last week on this Washington team. And I just think, I know Joey's in the chat, but if the Giants offense can do that, I think the Bills should not have a problem. The problem is they're going to have to put up 28 for you to get there, because the total's 27.5 over at even money. That seems, I don't know.
No, you know what? Fade it. Let's just fade the damn thing. Ben Gomes was right. Let's get rid of it. I haven't checked out the chat yet. So what up, Joey? We're just continue the roll, dude. You're absolutely crushing it. It's very fun. And I put 2 units down on the Twins today. So hopefully that works. I normally don't do more than one, but I hit your Lamar Jackson the other night. You're red hot in football. That one. And Joey's just on a tear that you just don't see it in baseball. You don't see guys hitting at the rate that he's hitting. All right. Red button is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do that. Like button is to say, hey, guys, thanks for the free information. That's great. And lastly, well, we'll talk Thursday Night Football just for a second in a minute. But Falcons, Giants, guys, two players, Mangone. I want to start with you on a DFS side here. 2 guys. Daniel Jones is the number 4 quarterback overall on FanDuel, just fantasy quarterback. So he's running his ass off. He's got a matchup against the Falcons defense, which is the biggest joke out there. And then did you see anything from Saquon that would make you interested in playing him? So Danny Jones and Saquon to start this conversation.
Yeah. So man, this is a good question. I haven't looked because I don't know. I'm not itching to play Saquon Barkley right now, but what is his price? Because everyone has a price, right? If I told you Saquon Barkley was $1 on FanDuel, you'd be interested.
Would you do it?
Yeah, of course.
Really? No.
Yeah, 6.5. Well, he'd help me. I mean, that is a whole other conversation, but he'd help you roster and have more salary because he'd be $1, right?
6.5 and 6 on FanDuel.
6 on FanDuel is very interesting. Very, very interesting. He's got 3 targets the last 2 games. So that's thinking of DK. Obviously, PPR matters. 10 rush attempts, 13. Man, it's definitely an interesting price tag. Daniel Jones has been good, and he's been good for not only fantasy, just in general. He's played. I think PFF-wise, he's a top, 8 or 6 quarterback. I wish this was in Atlanta because you get the dome factor. That would be nice. 48 total. It's a game that I talked about it before, right? It could interact really well because Matt Ryan could be passing and Daniel Jones could be passing a ton. If you think both these defenses stink, well, then the ball could be moving on them. And one thing I like about the Falcons is, let's say Matt Ryan has a big game, Holden. If Matt Ryan throws for 25 plus fantasy points, you got Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts, who are probably going to be the productive guys. Yes, Cordell Patterson kind of messed that up a little bit last week, but Pitts and Ridley were still decent, and we're a touchdown or 2 away from breaking the slate completely. Pitts just needed 1 more. Ridley got his 1. If he got a second, he would have absolutely broke it. So I like the Matty Ice stack with Ridley and Pitts a lot. I think it's a good one. And you can run it back with either a Slayton, a Shepard, or a Galladay. Galladay and Shepard, I think, are both really good options that you can go to. And I don't mind Daniel Jones, too, because of his rushing upside. Daniel Jones makes some sense. Instead of having to do the double stack and trying to figure it out, you can play Daniel Jones with only one of these guys because of his rushing equity. I think it can work. So I like this game DFS-wise. It's not really a cash game one as much. I think it's more of a tournament one. And I really like the Falcons side. I think the Falcons could win this game. And I also think the Falcons could be one of the better DFS stacks on this slate.
Okay. Kegger, do we want to mess with the Falcons and the Giants? And if we do, is the best way to attack it the total as opposed to anything else at 47.5?
This game, though.
I know. It's a shitty game, but still, we're trying to find an edge here.
It's early, but I think the Atlanta Falcons are the worst team in football. Now, caveat.
No.
Caveat, Texans without Tyrod could probably is the worst team right now.
Jaguars?
No, I don't think the Jaguars, even though Lawrence does not look good, is worse than the worst team in football. Okay, don't judge me, Holden. Okay,
I'm not judging you, my friend.
Right,
Love
we'll firmly disagree on this one, Keg, but we'll have to see how it shakes out.
I think I think that for the sanity of this new Giants head coach, I mean, this is a must win for the New York Giants at home this week. They have to win this game, right? They showed life last week. I think they looked better against Washington than they did against Denver. But you can't lose this game and start 0-3 as a short home favorite against a team that is this caliber. Listen, are the Giants around the same caliber as the Falcons? Probably, yeah. I would say the Giants are a better team, not by much. I think that's proven. They're a 3-point favorite at home, which means these teams are basically even on a neutral field. Maybe the Giants are a half-point favorite. Okay, that being said, I just think that if you're going to back a side in this game, it's the Giants this week at home. I don't think you could back the Falcons right now. I just don't. And now the big question is, will this game get to 2.5? Is Atlanta money going to come in and get this line down to 2.5? If it does, I'll probably have a piece of the Giants this week at -2.5 at home. If it doesn't and it stays at 3, it'll probably be a pass for me. As far as the total, what was the number?
40, what was it? 47 and a half, 48 and a half. So 47 to 48 and a half.
The problem is it's so hard to accurately think a game script out for two teams like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that Washington Giant game was going to go under. They hung 60. So, I mean, do I think that this game can get up and over the total? Yeah, sure I do. Sure. Could it also be 23-17 final? Yeah, it could.
All right. So
but I'll tell you right now, Giants get to 2.5. I'm gonna have probably a half unit piece of the Giants at 2.5.
Half. Okay, I'll take that. We're going to touch on the Thursday night game, Mango, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to do. Okay, yeah. Can we do a friendly wager? I don't want to take your money, but can we do a friendly wager? It'll be a fun season-long sweat too. I get the Falcons, you get the Lions because you think the Falcons are the worst team in the NFL. I'll take the Falcons have a better record than the Detroit Lions.
I'm taking the Jaguars to have a worse record than the Falcons. I mean, you think that the Jaguars are better than the Falcons? Listen, the Falcons coaching staff is a disaster right now, and they don't know how to use Kyle Pitts. But come on, man, Urban Meyer came out and said coaching in the NFL is playing like Alabama every week. His players hate him. Lawrence is getting a year wasted in his career. Come on, dude.
I think the Falcons are the worst team in football. I mean,
okay. So why don't we do a 3-way bet?
Don't judge me.
Let's do a 3-man contest. We'll do it we don't have to play it for a lot. Maybe it's like a friendly, just like lunch bet, right?
So the first time we meet, it's lunch. Who has the record? I'll say the Lions have a better record than the Falcons at the end of the year.
But I want to put a Holden in as well. Let's do a 3-way here. Let's do a trio where it's like whichever team has the best record of the 3.
So what team do you want to take to have the best record of the 3, Kush?
Oh, I thought
it's got to be an awful team, though.
I thought we were doing the worst record.
Yeah, we're doing the worst. Well, so I think the Falcons are better than the Lions. That's what I took.
I do too.
All right, so
there you go. So lunch on me for the both of you guys.
Yeah.
Or you guys are going to take me out for a wonderful lunch one day. That's what.
Well, it probably won't ever happen.
So I get a nice little sweat every week of Falcons versus Lions at least, which will be a lot of fun.
Okay, good. I will say
I'll take Jared Goff right now over Matty Ice at that age.
Best of luck. It's going to be tough when it gets cold in some of those cold weather games for Mr. Jared Goff.
Falcons are going to win 4 games. Okay, and I don't think your Lions are.
Do we know what the preseason? Do we know what the win totals were? I would like to know what the preseason win total was on the Falcons and the Lions.
I think I bet the Falcons under. It was like 6.5 or 7. I'll have to go look.
I bet you I'm playing at a disadvantage right now. I bet you the Falcons had a better win total.
Yes,
they did. Right?
They had to, and the two teams play the day after Christmas. So it could all come down to the day after Christmas, guys.
We got a nice lunch sweat going at the end.
All right, guys. Real quick before we go, do want to touch on the game coming up on Thursday night. Might be too late to get in on any of the stuff that's happening now. Panthers -8 on the road. The Texans, I mean, again, what are we doing here, Texans? You already had the worst roster, and now your quarterback that actually was playing above his head is gone. Total is 43. I know everybody's on the Panthers here. You know what, Mangone? Let's shove it to you in a little showdown action. Are you buying into the Sam Darnold start? Is Christian McCaffrey just a guy you have to have in a showdown slate? What do you want to do with the Panthers? And really, besides for Brandon Cooks, it doesn't seem like there's many options on the Texans.
Yeah, I think Christian McCaffrey is someone I'm going to want to play. If I do play Christian McCaffrey, I think the best way, if you cap them, is like to leave salary on the table. That's the way I would approach it. Davis Mills is his name. Gosh, yeah. He is terrible. I remember I was watching with Big T on Sunday and I said, this guy's in the NFL. He was terrible in college. I mean, how on earth did he get a job? Also, you're betting there's the Panthers coaching staff, which I think is a pretty sharp staff coming from LSU, the sharp coordinator. I like what they've been doing. They've made Sam Darnold look great. The other argument for betting against the Texans is, well, that Texans coaching staff, they could have taken a 3rd and 12 the other day or a 4th and 2, Holden. And what did they take? They took 4th and 2 and punted it away. And Kevin Stefanski was very, very surprised by that. And I would be surprised too, because it's a really donkey decision. I think you got the better coaching staff with the Panthers. I think you got a backup quarterback who should not even be in the NFL over there. They're running Mark Ingram out there a ton, which makes 0 sense at all. I like the Panthers side the most. And I will say, I think the Panthers, I think they're a really good survivor bet. I'm in some survivors, and I think playing the Panthers in survivor over the Broncos makes some more sense this week. Not that the Broncos aren't the better side, because they are, right? If you're in a smaller survivor, I think the Broncos are the better bet. I don't think the Jets and Zach Wilson on the road are going to get the job done, but I do think the Panthers are one to consider at least. I think they should be in the conversation for that. So I
think that if you're in a rebuy league, I think you have to be on the Giants this week against Atlanta.
Ooh, okay. You got to take.
All right. So my opinion on this game is it would have been a really interesting spot to back Houston here had Tyrod been playing at home, coming off a couple big wins for Carolina. I would have loved the spot to back Tyrod. I mean, like Mangone just said, I mean, Davis Mills, I mean, are we joking? You can't back him. I mean, can you really back him even getting 8 points? I think Carolina's capable, even on the road, of covering this spread. And I can't believe I'm saying that because of Darnold, but I mean, Brady and Rule, they just have this kid playing better than the Jets. I mean, the Jets are the worst organization in the history of football. So there's that. But I think the play is you tease the Panthers down here to 2. And that's why I gave it out. I'll give it out now. The spreadsheet play. Panthers, you tease them down to 2. And you tease the Cardinals down to 1.5. And I think that's your teaser that gets you home. It's a little square, but I mean, when you're betting favorites, even when they're the right teasers, Wong teasers, they're still going to be square because you're betting favorites or you're betting really small dogs up. But we'll go Carolina and Cardinals. And then Tyler has a couple player props. Yeah, Tyler's hitting NFL player props.
Don't give him out though. Don't give him out.
I'm not giving him out. But he's hitting NFL player props at a ridiculous rate right now. So I encourage people to sign up for those Thursday night winners tomorrow night. But free play, Panthers, Cardinals, 6-point tees.
I'm a little concerned about Darnold here. Does he get to his 250 whatever the hell yards it is? Just because this could be a blowout. Mangone, any thoughts on Darnold here? Passing yards, does he get to 260, 270, or could it be a game where they just run a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely could run a little bit for sure. I think it just depends. Depends on what the coach wants to do, right? I mean, obviously, every number matters. I don't know what the exact line is on it right now, and I probably haven't looked deep enough to give the thought on it. But I will say for Showdown, right? If I had a member DM me, and he, this is the stuff you get at Run Pure Sports. He said, "What do you think of this team?" And I didn't like the team because he had 2 receivers and he didn't even have Darnold in there. If you're going to play 2 receivers in Showdown, you need that quarterback with it. I think correlation wise, I mean, Sam Darnold does not strike as a guy who's going to run a read option and run that in there, right? I mean, that's a Daniel Jones kind of thing or Lamar Jackson. So I personally think that, like, Showdown wise, if you're going to think the passing game is going to be good, play Darnold and play 2 other receivers. That's how I would handle it.
All right. So we are done, Ski.
Yeah, but we didn't give out a play. And I think we give out the total that I feel most comfortable with this week.
Are you betting it? You got to bet it if we're doing it. If you're not there yet, don't worry about it.
No. Yeah, I'm going to bet it. I'm betting.
Okay. What is it?
Over 55 in the Rams-Bucs game.
Rams-Bucs.
Over 55.
Okay. What did that open at? Like 52 and a half?
55.
I think it was 50.
I think it was 55 and a half.
Was it really?
Yeah. Unless you're talking about like 5 months ago.
Yeah, the opening line was 50. That's right. It went to 52 and a half, and now it's sitting here at 55.
Since it opened after Sunday night, it opened 55 and a half.
Okay. I got 55 right now at DraftKings.
That's what we'll go with.
So 55 at DraftKings. That's the show bet. What do you think about that, Mangone? I'm tailing them.
That works for me. I mean, after traveling, I haven't been as, I wish I could be more prepared. It's been I mean, since NFL Sunday has stopped, I think I drove 17 hours. So I did not get as much research in. I don't want to give out some, but I will give out something on the sheet, I'm sure. As the week goes on, I'll find some stuff as I get settled. And man, we'll definitely dial in more. I kind of took a little bit of the keg approach, or maybe not keg, JJ approach, right? Like wasn't really pounding as many bets the first 2 weeks. Wanted to wait for some stuff to, get some more data. And I was already doing way too much. So I was like, I don't need to be pounding a million bets here and there, but I'm excited to finally get settled. And we're going to crush it over here at Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. So check out all this stuff. I'm sure I'll be putting stuff up. And don't forget, even though I'm not in Jersey right now, Holden, we got to give, JJ some 2 thumbs up on the video. Again, helps us out a ton and we appreciate it.
All right. I'm placing the bet right now, buddy. I mean, your unit is 10 times what my unit is. Well, just betting. I don't know the other unit, but you can get it. If you have my unit, I think up to $100, you can get a $20 profit boost. So that's my unit anyway. So you could do that and get it to plus 104 over 55. All right, Kegger, I'm placing it, man. Are you going to put this on a sheet?
No, but I'm going to bet it right now with you.
All right, we're betting.
I haven't put a Sunday bet on the sheet for NFL yet.
Okay, very good, guys. It's in. We are done, Ski. Subscribe button on the way out. We'd appreciate it. Subscribe to our channel. It's right there, the little red button. Liking us would be terrific too. And don't forget, RPS Heater 25% off your first payment. Those of you that are already members, Get Bets is the code to go get bets. You just get the bet side. You don't have to do anything but type in the code. So it's wonderful. Mangone, welcome to Colorado. We will have to see each other sooner than later. That would be nice. Kegger, I might be out in New York, but you said you live up to 3 hours away from there, so I probably won't see you.
No, I
live 3 hours from New York.
I said to him, depending on traffic, anywhere between like 45 minutes and 2.5 hours.
No, you said an hour to 3 hours.
All right, so that's fair. Depending
I mean,
on traffic.
like it's like 3 hours if you're traveling during like the biggest rush hour part, but you wouldn't do that.
Right. But I would assume it's going to be like Saturday, like late in the day. Like
okay. When is Holden going to New York?
I don't know.
This is probably a November thing.
By the way, he's only going to smash somebody. Can you imagine?
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I mean, you're surprised?
Yeah, it's the only reason I leave my house is to get laid.
I guess not. I guess
real quick. Holden just said the only reason he leaves his house is to get laid. So I'm scared to leave my house if he asks me to go for lunch.
No, this is different. You live in town.
I'm just making sure. That's what I heard.
If I go through a slump, you might be looking pretty cute to me, pal. All right, let's get the hell out of here. We didn't need to go that direction. Kegger, love you, buddy. Mangone, great to see you. We'll see you here in person soon, hopefully sooner than later. Simon, thanks a lot for the work in the back. We appreciate it. I'm Holden. Oh, go listen to the Wishbone pod. Just type in Wishbone on YouTube or your podcast. It's great. A bunch of old
favorite podcast that Run Pure Sports, the Wishbone pod. Let's get it. Go check out
that.
JT.
Mangone, tell Simon what to do.
Get us out of here, Simon.